Hi guys, it's me, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. Good morning or afternoon or night or wherever you are in the world. Welcome to my coverage of SpaceX's Starlink mission. This is like their 9th operational mission. It feels like it's been a hot minute because they've had to shuffle the whole schedule around quite a bit. But welcome to my newish studio, still in progress. I'm almost done with flooring over on that half. There's still a bunch of holes in the walls and things like that. So I've still got some work to do, but eventually you'll probably see more and more of this extend out and get cooler and cooler, hopefully each time we do a live stream. So bear with me as I'm in the middle of moving studios and everything. So how is everybody this morning? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. It's sure been, it's sure been a crazy couple of weeks for me, actually crazy month. I hope everyone's staying healthy. I have a lot of friends, unfortunately, that are actually getting sick right now, and it's a little bit concerning. So we're being extra careful with social distancing, and I hope you guys are too. Okay, so we have a launch to talk about. And just like all launches, if you want to know what's going to happen in this mission, if you want to know, what's going on, where they're launching to, how this what rocket it is, all the things, you can go to my website, which is everydayastronaut.com. And you can click on the pre-launch previews tab, and you can click on articles for all the upcoming missions, or pretty much most of the upcoming missions. So today's mission, this is technically Starlink 9, but really it's like the 11th Starlink mission, sort of, because they've had 2 that were not operational yet. So yeah, this is kind of the 9th one, but it's taking off today, and you can tell on the upper right hand part of your screen this is taking off today at in 23 minutes, which is super fun. And then let's see, so that's going to be July 8th at 11:59 local time, because this is taking off. We'll get to that in a second. The name of this mission is Starlink 9, the 9th Starlink mission. But here's the thing. It also has 2 other satellites on board. These are the BlackSky Global 5 and 6. The launch provider for this mission is SpaceX. So SpaceX obviously is launching this mission today. The customer, though, is not only SpaceX, because SpaceX has their own Starlink satellites on top of this vehicle, but it also is Spaceflight Industries, who also then hired up and has BlackSky Global. So it's kind of, a whole smorgasbord here. Okay, so then there's the rocket today. This is of course going to be using their Falcon 9, their Block 5, which is this is the 5th flight of this particular Falcon 9. This is 1051.5. So that period after the serial number will tell you exactly which rocket this is and how many times it's flown as well. So this is the 5th flight of this particular booster, which is awesome. We love seeing that reusability play out. We love seeing how this is actually working out, which was just awesome. So, okay, so this is taking off, though, from, of course, historic Launch Complex-39a at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Now, this is, of course, where DM2 just took off a month and a half ago or so, about 5 weeks ago. Bob and Doug, this is the hollowed ground where the Saturn V took off from, and most of the space shuttles took off from the same launch pad. This is awesome. This is the gorgeous launch pad. You can't go wrong. The payload mass for this. Now this is pretty heavy. These are pretty heavy missions for a Falcon 9 at 17,830 kilograms. But it's interesting because there's 57, like we said, 57 Starlinks, and they're each 260 kilograms. And sorry, for those of you metrically impaired, that's like 35,000, 36,000 or so, probably more like 38,000 actually, about 38,000 pounds. Plus the dispenser, and then there's 2 small those BlackSky satellites are only 55 kilograms, so that's pretty light. So let's see, then this thing's heading off to low Earth orbit to only 550 kilograms, but it gets in this low initial parking orbit. The initial parking orbit of Starlink satellites is only 210 by 366 kilometers. Then the weather currently is 60% go for launch, so hopefully, fingers crossed today. That is not great, but we've had worse and we've had better. So I'm really hoping it goes off today. All right, so this is they will be attempting to recover the first stage. They will be recovering at 634 kilometers downrange on, of course, I Still Love You. That's their autonomous spaceport drone ship. Then will they be attempting to recover the fairings? They will not be attempting to catch the fairings on this one, but both will be hopefully fished out of the water like they've been doing lately. It really seems like, for whatever reason, it feels like they've kind of given up almost on catching them out of the sky. I don't know if there's something that they're trying to do, if they just feel like it's not worth it because it's just as easy to fish them out of the water and they're just fine as long as they're intact in the water. I'm not sure, but they seem to have... It'd be funny, actually. Ooh, interesting. So they are apparently currently red for weather. Thank you, David, for letting us know that, David Peoples. So, yeah. So, but I'd be curious to see, like, I know this is probably dumb, but how much does it cost when those boats are expensive to operate, but how much does it cost to, like, drive them around trying to catch this fairing, flooring it, going really fast versus the extra refurbishment cost of actually getting them out of the water? I'm sure it's, minimal. We're talking about like hundreds of dollars worth of gas, but I do wonder though what the cost reflection there is between fishing them out of the water and actually catching one. I imagine it can't be that. I don't know. Whatever. They're snagging those things out of the sea today. So, and these particular fairings are new, so they'll definitely want to get them back. But this would be the 89th flight of a Falcon 9. This would be the 56th booster landing, assuming it lands today. The 38th reflight of a booster. The third time a booster has flown 5 times. So this is already becoming like pretty normal to see a booster fly 5 times. Obviously, the first one that tried to fly 5 times, that was the one that had that engine failure on ascent, and then it did not ended up not being able to re-enter safely and was lost on re-entry. But that was an anomaly they caught later on, or they learned that it had something to do with how they were cleaning the engines. There's just a little slug of cleaning propellant left in one of these dead elbows where a sensor would normally go, and they learned a lesson on that. And luckily, of course, the Falcon 9, that's the beautiful thing, is it can lose an engine on ascent, no big deal. Now, depending on where it loses the engine, which engine they lose, they might even still be able to recover a Falcon 9, even if it loses an engine or 2, potentially, but it all depends on which engine. If it loses that center engine, you're pretty much screwed for recovery. But yeah, and this is the 12th mission for SpaceX in 2020. So we're averaging just a little over 2 a month already. And I remember thinking back in the day, like, imagine if they were launching, every 2 weeks, and they had a pretty big dry spell there. So they're ramping up to do pretty big things this year. I wouldn't be surprised if we see over 30 this year, because I think the second half of the year will be really, really busy, seeing how quickly they're ramping up these Starlink missions. So, yep, this is just a friendly reminder of what Starlink actually looks like stacked inside of the fairing. Pretty nuts, honestly. Look at this. I mean, it is like, it is just unbelievable. They designed Starlink to fit as snugly and perfectly inside their fairings as they can, taking full advantage, maximizing the Falcon 9 as best they can. So they're working on, of course, if they're mass producing these satellites, it brings the cost down. They're obviously designed to be able to fit inside those fairings as best as possible, which is really smart. That's what happens when you're kind of working, top down like that. So yeah, this is pretty cool. And then the BlackSky satellites look like this. They're pretty awesome too. So they're going to eventually have a constellation of 60 satellites with really high resolution, sub 1 meter resolution, and able to provide customers with imaging 4 times per hour. So you can do awesome time lapses, or just really, be able to keep tabs on things like that. But yeah, if you guys, this article was written, I believe, by, let's see here. Oh, here's the mission profile and everything. Thank you, Trevor, for this article. I'm so thankful for the website crew who helps me make all this stuff possible. So yeah, if you guys need a rundown on that stuff, that's everydayastronaut.com. How are you guys? All right, let's, and also while you're there, we're doing something that you guys really liked. We're doing our launch day thing. So if you guys want a chance to get your own full flow stage combustion cycle shirt, that is today's shirt. So you can take 10% off today if you shop at everydayastronaut.com. Click on, go ahead and click around, buy some stuff. But when you go at checkout, if you type in all one word, lowercase, launch day, they'll get 10% off the full flow stage combustion cycle shirt. That's a first. We've never done that. So that's an easy way to help me continue to do what I do. It's a fun way to shop around and get cool stuff. And things even like our new Future Martian 2.0 t-shirt. This is an awesome shirt. It even has on the sleeve the gravity, the atmosphere, the carbon dioxide, the atmosphere and the gravity of Mars on the sleeve. So in case you're on Mars, you won't forget. And it even has, so it's Arcadia Planitia, which is the prime landing site for Starship. And then it has the exact coordinates of where SpaceX is currently planning to land Starship. So this is my new favorite t-shirt, the Future Martian 2.0 shirt. But of course, the old favorite definitely seems to be the full flow stage combustion cycle shirt, including the man himself. I love that he was at a fancy gala, how do you say that, wearing this shirt. Like, that takes balls just to be at a fancy place where people are like pretty well dressed and you're just wearing a t-shirt and a leather jacket. And that is why we love Elon Musk. So if you want to help me do what I do, go to everydayastronaut.com/shop and then use the coupon code LAUNCHDAY, all one word, get 10% off of the full flow stage combustion cycle shirt. All right, how are you guys doing? So first off, thank you to everyone for tuning in. I feel like I'm ready for more launches again because it just seems like it's been a little bit of time, and I'm just excited. I love watching launches, and doing these is one of my favorite things. Just to hang out with you guys, help answer questions, and yeah, it's just awesome. Okay, so Ailmar. Little typo on the pre-launch preview. I'm not sure cosplayers are BlackSky's target. Customers. Thank you, Ailmar. We will get that fixed. I don't know. Maybe these are specific satellites for cosplayers. I mean, they might be an underserved market in the satellite imagery world, right? Thank you, Omar. Luke, how you were in Cedar Falls last week visiting family. I tried a sidecar coffee cappuccino. Thanks for the recommendation. It was great. Oh, I can't wait to tell my friend Andy. That will make him so happy. That is awesome. I need to even remember this timestamp just so I can send it to him and be like, look at that. Look, you owe me royalties or something. No, obviously not. No, I'm a big fan of Sidecar. That is so cool, Luke. Thanks for letting me know. Thanks for enjoying us. Sidecar coffee cappuccino. I even took one of their, one time I was driving from here to Florida, from Iowa to Florida, and I still had a sidecar like cappuccino. Sorry, this is just, it's like my friend's coffee shop. And I still had a cup with me in the car, and I got out and I was sitting in front of, like, I was right there in front of the vehicle assembly building at Kennedy Space Center. And I was like, oh, this would be the funniest commercial. So I shot like this really cheesy, do you know how I drive 22 hours to see a historic launch? And like, I was dumb enough to actually sip the 2-day-old leftover remnants of coffee. And my reaction, like, I was trying to still like be professional about it, but I was really like, oh, it was so bad. It was really dumb. Long story short, yeah. Ian, always a pleasure to tune into your streams, Tim. Nice to watch something exciting and not just plain sad. You're right. 2020 has been a terrible year for a lot of people. That's the one thing, obviously, that I love about spaceflight is we can all come together, hang out, enjoy something together. There's, again, you know, you guys know that I'm always like anti-tribalism. I like us to all just be cheering for everyone working on getting humans into space, working on humans exploring and learning more about our place amongst the cosmos. I just think that's the coolest part. And pushing the boundaries of engineering, that's almost what I like most. A lot of people are maybe romantic about space in general and things out there, and that stuff doesn't really, I mean, I like that stuff, but I almost think I'm most fascinated by the engineering, by the actual, you know, turning of the screws and really figuring out how to get the most performance and reliability and cost effectiveness. Like, it's that whole trade-off beauty of engineering. It's almost like an art form. How do you make this stuff happen? And how do you make it happen cheaper and more reliable and faster and do more things and be able to, it's just awesome. Like, we're finally seeing, I think, the retro future. You know, in the 60s, we had all these visions of someday, you know, the world will be like this. And I think we're finally getting to that point where we have so many people working on this problem of making spaceflight cheaper. You know, we have Rocket Lab, who, if you guys were tuning on Saturday, was heartbreaking. They had their first mission failure. Their first demonstration mission of their Electron rocket was a failed mission. It didn't get into orbit, but the vehicle performed fine. It was actually a ground tracking station that lost contact with the vehicle, and they had to terminate it, which was sad, but it was a great dry run for the first one. But on Saturday they did lose their first rocket, and it was really sad, honestly. Yeah, so it just was a friendly reminder that even though the stuff is super routine, and that was their 13th launch. Of course, it was number 13. How could it not be? That it's still challenging, and that there's a million ways that a rocket launch can go wrong, and really only one way it can go right. And there's thousands or millions of moving parts and little pieces. So, looks like they're standing down today, guys. Well, we can still hang out for just a hot second. Oh, well, looks like that was really quick. There we go. Well, looks like today's launch is scrubbed. Now, if you guys want to hang out here and talk rockets for just a little bit with me while I'm up, then we can hang out. But yeah, what do you guys want? I should probably finish a few of your generous tips here. 11 Bravo. Sorry if it's been asked already, but has there been any word on how prospective customers can sign up for Starlink other than email notifications already on Starlinks? No, not yet. Not where they're in the very Discord. Just F. Yeah, I don't think there's any other way to sign up for Starlink yet, and this, because they're kind of in the beginning phase of this thing. So I think once it's more official and customer ready, I think you'll just be able to click on a website and buy, which is obviously going to be a hard thing to do. But at least the good thing is, even though SpaceX doesn't really have too much experience other than their web store with direct to consumer sales, at least Tesla, which of course Elon owns Tesla and SpaceX, at least he has some experience with direct-to-consumer sales there. So they have some experience with that stuff. And realistically, if it's only, a UFO, pizza-sized thing about yay big or whatever, that should be fairly easy logistically to ship out, yeah. Yeah, so just stay tuned. Hopefully we'll see that. Dalek says, I'm building a rocket engine. Any tips? Please be safe. Please follow... be sure you know what you're doing. Don't just start mixing liquid, or don't be mixing fuel and oxidizer willy-nilly, because that is extremely dangerous stuff. Be sure, if you're actually serious about building an engine, even a liquid-fueled engine, I would definitely check out Joe Barnard on YouTube, or Charlie Garcia. Sorry. I love Joe Barnard, of course. You should be following Joe Barnard anyway. But Charlie Garcia on YouTube, he is an MIT student, and he has built many liquid engines, and even burned down a room basically on campus, working on an aerospike actually back in the day, I think. But Charlie's awesome. Charlie has an awesome YouTube channel, and he really teaches you the actual nuts and bolts of building a rocket engine. I do not know how to do that. I have zero engineering experience. Well, period. Besides some furniture maybe or something, but nothing real, right? So you don't want to come to me for your how to build a rocket engine tips. But you should definitely be reading things like Ignition. You should be reading books on engines, engine engineering. Sure. And definitely learning lessons from other people, because you don't want to be missing fingers. We'll just put it that way. So, yeah, best of luck, Dalek, and do some research. Kevin, thank you for the pair. Raphael, thanks for the membership. Hi, Tim, I'm a huge fan of you, and I made a Chinese subtitle for a Raptor video, but it takes forever to be approved. Could you please do something about it? We will get on that today. That's a great idea. That is awesome. Thank you for doing that. If you guys are doing subtitles, I probably need to just put that into a rotation of things I do once a week, is approve the people that have worked hard to make subtitles. That is really highly appreciative. And Chinese for one of the longest videos, that is very impressive. Thank you for doing that. For everyone say thank you to Fur for making subtitles in a foreign language that can reach billions of people potentially, if they had access to YouTube. That's a ton of work, and really, really, really appreciate that. So everyone say thank you to Fur. That is awesome. And please, if you are fluent in another language and you have some free time, consider learning how to transcribe videos. It helps the channel out a lot. It helps other people learn all this stuff, all this exciting stuff. And we don't have a ton, like, when you look at it, it might only be like thousands of people that are reading foreign language subtitles, but at the same time, those 1,000 people, who knows what they'll do with that, with knowledge of spaceflight and with knowledge of how rocket engines work. Who knows? We might end up with someone in the middle of, a country that they don't speak any, that they don't have access to that information, learning a lot and actually changing the course of their future. So it really does mean a lot. Oh wait, I better get rid of, boop. We'll do that since we don't have a launch today, unfortunately. I wish I had a big old fat scrubbed thing, but yeah. Okay, the dying Titan. Hey, Tim, I bought KSP because of you. Anyways, what's your thoughts on mechanical counter pressure spacesuits? I personally think they are the future, but unfortunately underfunded and developed. I don't really. I don't have any thoughts really on mechanical counter pressure spacesuits, unfortunately. I don't even really know what you're talking about. I know if you're talking about like those ones that look like those old like Danger Will Robinson robot style, where it's like literally metal joints and stuff like that, then I know what you're talking about, but I don't know if I know enough what you're talking about to even really comment on this too much. But if you think they're the future and they're underfunded and developed, you should tell me why they aren't good and why they're underfunded and developed, and then maybe I'll consider doing a video on it, because that could be a fun topic. That's never crossed my mind even. So I'll have to think about that, the Dying Titan. Thank you. Luke, no, I needed cappuccino to more, and I miss Iowa now. Hey, Iowa's always here. You're welcome anytime. Alex, can't wait for Rocket Lab's comeback. Me too, honestly. I hope that the investigation goes really quick on what happened. Most of us are assuming that it's some kind of issue. Scott Manley did a really good video though, and he realized based on the telemetry that it was losing power about 4 minutes in. So only about a minute and a half into the upper stages burn, it was beginning to lose power. The thrust was going down based on its nominal trajectory or nominal trajectory. And he did some really interesting data combing basically and realized that something happened before the hot battery swap even. So it could have been that one of those pairs of batteries could have gone bad early or lost voltage early on. But let's see. That's something that I can't wait for. Matt Large, how close to essentially free for Starlink are these launches getting? Reuse stage 1, reuse fairing, sometimes in rideshare partners paying part of it. Matt, that's actually a really, really good question. Honestly, I think that they will never be free because there's a lot of personnel operations. Like think about how many people, high paid people, are on the clock during a mission. Like minimum, we're talking hundreds of people that are, that are getting paid a minimum 60,000 probably, and then the fuel of the rocket, there's just a lot of operations that will bare minimum cost millions of dollars, right? And that's basically what Starship's trying to do, is it's trying to take that sunk cost. There's always a sunk cost for any launch. Rocket Lab Electron has a similar sunk cost as SpaceX, right? So the more you can, the higher, like the more launching you can do, and the cheaper that launch itself is, the greater your profit margins are, because that sunk cost is always going to be basically, we'll say, I'm just going to make up a number, $2 million, right? And if every time you're throwing away a $200 million rocket, that's your cost is $202 million, right? Your cost to actually launch. But now, obviously, if you're reusing parts and those parts are free and you don't have a lot of refurbishment time, a lot of people time refurbishing them, or if you don't have to refurbish them at all, you literally land, refuel, fly. Now we're talking about a launch cost that's literally just that $2 million plus the cost of fuel, which is pretty negligible. Again, about $500,000 for something Starship size, or maybe $1 million or something Starship. So now we're talking about something that can launch, 100 times. Well, no, not 100. It can launch 5-10 times what Falcon 9 can launch, and be fully reusable, and 10 times cheaper too. So that's where we're getting to those orders of magnitude differences that Starship hopes to be someday. And I really hope, I know that will happen. It seems still incredibly ambitious, but look at all the impossible things that SpaceX has done prior. They've done so many things that were just impossible and not worth pursuing. And here they are. No big deal. Just doing impossible things like landing and reusing boosters, reusing fairings, using super chilled propellants, landing back at land. I mean, launching humans, launching in general, that was considered impossible. Like, so many things were considered impossible. I will do some KSP after they did scrub. I should put like a I should probably just put something up on stream. Steve Madden, that's so hard to say. Steve Madden in our Discord. I will. I'll give you guys some more behind the scenes here on Patreon and in Discord as it gets a little bit further along. But yeah, we're not quite ready there yet. Steve Madden. That's so hard. PHTEVE Madden. Dang. Yeah. So, let me get back to you guys. If you guys want to join our Discord channel, that is a Patreon exclusive thing. Go to patreon.com/everydayastronaut and you can join our incredible community of people. I love it because everyone's just kind of there to learn, hang out. It's just a cool place to come together and get excited about the future. So if that's your type of thing and you want just more access to kind of some of the behind the scenes stuff, go to patreon.com/everydayastronaut. You can sign up for the Discord tier there, and we'll see you in there. I love you guys. Hi, Discord. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so good question, Matt. Okay, the Bill. Do you have any idea about the James Webb Telescope time frame, and also about when we will see the 100-meter hop for Starship? The Bill. I know a lot about James Webb. I've seen it in person with my own eyeballs, which was awesome. And it's always being delayed. You might as well just assume it's delayed. Like, if you want a news, I should just make a news article that's James Webb Space Telescope newsupdates.com, and all it is it's delayed. Because it is. It's obviously it's frustrating. It's frustrating for us. It's frustrating for the taxpayers. It's frustrating for NASA. It's frustrating for Northrop Grumman. Like, no one wants it to be delayed, but it's just a really fickle and complicated telescope that has I think it's something like 300 events need to happen in order for it to be operational. After launch, I don't know. I don't remember the exact number, but it's really. Hang on, I'm gonna change the title here real quick to Scrubbed, just so if people are tuning in, they're not mad at me. Yeah, it's Scrubbed, everybody. But yeah, the James Webb Space Telescope is pretty. It will be game changing as far as when it's up in this not in the sky, up in space. And it's going to be launching on an Ariane 5 out of French Guiana. So that is one that I would love to see. I hope that by the time James Webb launches, which at this case, I don't even think they're on track for 2021 anymore. Did they slip from 2021? Maybe it's 2022 now. But by the time it launches, I really hope the world's back to open so I can go and see that thing, because that will be an awesome launch to see. So, and what about so it's going to be 150-ish meter hop for Starship. That actually might happen next week. They're supposed to static fire here relatively soon with serial number 5. And hopefully we actually get to see the hop really soon after that. So fingers crossed. I will be able to cover that for you guys. I do have a live stream camera, 4K. Well, actually, the stream version is 1080, but I do have, when it records locally, it records 4K, 120 frames a second, so we can slow it down 4 times. So when it does hop, when it does static fire, I will have awesome footage for you guys. Thanks to Rachel and Jean from S Padre, Isled on Twitter here. So so definitely tune in for those. Stay tuned and make sure you're following me on Twitter as well. You can just search Everyday Astronaut, but my actual handle's Everyday Astronaut because Everyday Astronaut doesn't fit. Don't ask. And yeah, stay tuned for that, and I'll give you guys updates about Starship hopping, because I really hope we do see that happen next week. I'm ready for something awesome to happen in life. I am ready for something fun and exciting, and there's nothing more exciting than seeing a 20 meter tall or 25, 30 meter tall giant grain silo looking thing lift off and fly. It'll be absolutely unbelievable. I really wish I could go down and see it. But yeah, Okay, let's let's get back to more questions. Ground-based space. Thank you for your tips the other day. I'm already embarrassed by my first couple of videos. A shame about today's launch. Like I said, ground-based space. What honestly matters most is that you are embarrassed by your first videos. If you're not embarrassed by your first videos, or even not even your first videos, like I said, I think the other day is I want to be embarrassed by videos that I made a year ago. Like that shows progress. If you're like looking back at older videos and you're like, and you thinking that you peaked, a year or two ago, you're probably not growing. You're probably not doing things. You're not moving in the right direction, right? And I'm a big fan of like listening to feedback, even though feedback can suck. The internet can be a mean old place for feedback. But at the same time, there's always some kind of truth nuggets in all comments, and it's just take mental note and think about how you can address some of the concerns. If people are constantly complaining that your audio sucks, try a different microphone. If people are constantly complaining that there's a glare on your glasses, take out the lenses in your frame like I did for a while before I just changed my lighting. So yeah, I had a pair of glasses that were the same as my actual glasses without the frames in them, and I'd wear contacts so I could still read. I'm glad those days are over. Instead, I just got a different lighting solution, which, by the way, I will have better lights here too as well. I'm waiting. It got delayed because thanks, internet. So yeah, good luck, ground-based systems. Gary, thanks for. You're welcome, Gary. I appreciate that. Raphael, where did you go? Hey Tim, love your work. Please keep it up. Do you happen to know what it's done to their second stage? Do they deorbit or just move to a graveyard orbit? Love from Brazil. Raphael, it depends on the mission. So low Earth orbit missions almost always do just end up being deorbited and burnt up on reentry on purpose. And it tends to, there's a strip, there'll be an exclusion zone in the Indian Ocean where ships and boats cannot be in case parts of that second stage re-enter and survive the re-entry, which there are parts that would definitely survive on the second stage. So they intentionally have a place where it's going to deorbit and where it's going to re-enter, and that is an exclusion zone, just like launch. So these Starlink missions do that because of the fact that they're in low Earth orbit. But lots of times when they're doing a geostationary transfer orbit, they will then kick that stage out into a graveyard orbit. And so it just kind of depends on what the mission is. So yeah. Okay, serial number 5, static fire and hop. Any ideas, unrelated questions? Being a hobby rocket that reaches orbit, is that feasible considering you have a team of enthusiasts? Okay, so yeah, we just mentioned static number 5, serial number 5, static fire. Hopefully being, we're hearing at this point, like maybe this weekend, like Friday or Saturday, and potentially hopping soon thereafter. Like they might just static fire and then check it all out, make sure they're good to go, and go for the hop right after that. I think they're really, really anxious to get that thing off the ground and get moving further and further progress into the program. So unrelated question, being a hobby. So, okay, to actually get something into orbit at a hobby level is still like absolutely a huge, even getting something just to the Kármán line, like straight up, it takes 10 or 15, 20 times less energy to just go straight, 2 orders of magnitude basically, versus like going straight up to just touch space versus getting into orbit. Huge difference. So, yeah, I look at like people like Copenhagen suborbitals over in Copenhagen, Denmark. They are working on some of the coolest, I would say, hobby scale, because they're crowdfunded and they're building rockets that they hope to put people on suborbital flights. And they've made some huge progress. They make big rockets and they probably spend millions of dollars, and they still are far from having anything that's orbital. Now, they aren't going for anything orbital, but at the same time, they're building big enough rockets that you look at the scale of that and you're like, man, how much does it take to get to orbit? Because it's, yeah. Oh man. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if any hobbyist, just purely hobbyist on a hobby budget, could ever really get to orbit. I think it's still something that's going to be millions of dollars. Look at Rocket Lab and their awesome Electron rocket. In order to close, so I think they did everything right. They basically asked, what is the cheapest you can get to orbit? And they saw that, okay, we can increase our mass fraction by using carbon fiber composites. Okay, that's great, but it's pretty expensive to probably get a carbon fiber lathe and all that stuff for 1.2 meter wide diameter, vehicle, 17 meters tall of pure carbon fiber. That's probably pretty expensive right there. But then also 3D printing the rocket engines and using electric turbo pumps. They're just at the very edge of what's physically possible with the technology. And that's about as small of a rocket as you can make suborbital. Using, I would say hobbyish grade, all of us could probably figure out a way to build, not all of us, but definitely not me, but some really smart people that know how to do this stuff. You could probably replicate that. And that is actually being replicated. That same idea is being used by, I believe it's Orbex, which is going to be from the United Kingdom. They're working on it looks frankly like an Electron clone, because it is a path of least resistance as far as getting something to orbit. It's definitely like the potentially the easiest way to do it. So, and even that is a huge ask. So, I don't think orbit is feasible by enthusiasts today, but maybe 10, 20 years, who knows? Okay. Fred Hill, you're looking into joining. Well, thank you for looking into joining, Fred. That's awesome. America. I love the bald eagle and the flag. That's great. Thanks, Fred. Night Fox. I'll see if I can find some time to translate some into Japanese. That would be awesome, Night Fox. I'd really appreciate that. Eric Lacasse, I made a sizing error while buying your t-shirt. Help. Eric, reach out to shop@everydayastronaut.com. If it hasn't shipped out already, they can pull it from the order and they can swap it around, no problem. But yeah, shop@everydayastronaut.com, then they'll take good care of you. It'll be no problem. We do have sizing charts, by the way, on the website that let you know what the size of the shirts are. If you are curious, they're definitely a little more fitted than a normal-ish t-shirt, like a Hanes or something. They're more American Apparel feel and fit, and I personally like that. So make sure while you're ordering a shirt that you are checking the sizing chart if you have any questions. If you're nervous about what size to get, which I don't know, I don't remember the last time I wasn't just like a large. I don't know. It's good enough. Like I'm confused by the people that are into their like adult life and still don't know what size of t-shirt to buy. Is anyone else like that? Like it's a t-shirt. I'm a large. Some might be a little bit tighter. Some might be a little bit bigger. Like it's a shirt. I don't know. Like it can't be that far off, can it? But I get that question a lot. I'm just curious who is like, well, it needs to be this long on the sleeves. I don't know. Is that a thing? I don't know. I'm looking to Discord for answers on that. But okay, so Lisa says I can make you a scrubbed if you'd like. Well, I think changing the title is probably great, but thank you, Lisa. Let's see here. Joe Duffy, our hot dogs sandwiches, not this again. I'm going to remain completely ambiguous. Hot dogs are hot dogs. The Dying Titan, Tim, I'm going to get on your Discord and Patreon and get you to talk about mechanical counterpressure spacesuits. My Discord alias is Absolute Zero. All right, Absolute Zero. We will see you in Discord. Let me know if you guys see in Discord. Let me know if you see Absolute Zero in there. I'll be keeping an eye open for you. Beetlejuice X. We have nuclear subs, so how come we haven't advanced nuclear propulsion in space? It should be easier and can even be used as a chariot pull for ships. Well, you're not really going to be using rocket engines to pull almost ever. You can always just use them as a tug to push. And you're absolutely right. We've actually completed nuclear engines. Like, those are done. We had the NERVA program. It was ready to go. I don't know. That's definitely so I do a podcast every week. If you guys want more content of me and you want to hear me talk about space more, you can always go to Our Ludicrous Future, our like OUR Ludicrous Future, or go to olfpod.com. Is that what it is, or OLF Podcast? I think it's OLF Pod. olfpod.com. There you go. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can also just use it, whatever. But I talk about space every week with my friends Ben and Joe, and we do a section in that called Why Don't They Just? Where it's like, why don't they just, use a helicopter to recover the fairings instead of a boat? Or why don't they just recover the second stage? Or why don't they just, we talk about futurism and EVs a lot too. So, why don't they just make 10 charging ports for Teslas so you can charge 10 times faster or whatever? A lot of fun questions like that. And nuclear engines still is like, why don't they just use nuclear engines? Because thermal heat well, I'm totally blanking on it right now, but basically all you do is you heat up hydrogen and you get it to boil off and it shoots it out really fast. And it's like, you don't have to carry any oxidizer. And it's pretty much like a really high specific impulse. Really, really high specific impulse. So, there is I have heard about the new nuclear, the current administration at NASA is working pretty hard on getting nuclear back on track. And I definitely think that is a huge viable option for Mars missions and for interplanetary missions. And even, for the moon, it probably makes sense for the moon even. Anytime you can have high specific impulse, you can increase your payload to the moon. That'd be awesome if we just had like a moon tug that was nuclear and just went up there and you just refueled the hydrogen. And as long as the actual, like plutonium or whatever the rods are fine, like that'd be so cool. But yeah, that would be, why don't they just do that? Very good question, Beetlejuice. Okay, Ian Chase, scrubbed, C, just plain sad. Hey, it's okay. We're here together. Even though it's a scrub, we can still hang out and talk about space stuff. Fred Hill, thank you again. Zach B, hey Tim, I love your videos. You've turned me into a space nerd to the dismay of my girlfriend. You bring so much positivity to this community, and I appreciate everything you do. Zach, thank you. Hopefully, your enthusiasm might rub off, and your girlfriend might end up loving the stuff as much as you. You never know. Honestly, it happens. I know that's definitely one of those things. I would love for there to be a much more diverse community of spaceflight enthusiasts, because according to my YouTube analytics, like it's mostly guys 25 to 35. Like that is my highest demographic, and I want that to change. That should change. It's a highly disproportionate number of people that are males. It's like, I think my channel is like 95% males, only 5% females. So, if you're out there, and we need to skew that to reflect the general population a lot better. And I am happy that internationally, like I think my channel is around 60 or 62% international, which is really cool. Like outside of the United States, that I'm really excited about, because that definitely shows that this isn't just something that's like United States only. I don't know. I'm really proud of that. That makes me really excited that the whole world comes together to enjoy this stuff. It's not just some national pride thing. I know I can get caught up in that a little bit. I'm definitely way more familiar with U.S. launchers than I am especially with Russian, but I'm working on that because we're working on a video about the Russian heritage, and it's given me a new appreciation for that. And, I don't know too much about China's programs. I need to do a video still about, Gaganyaan and ISRO's progress on some of their launch vehicles, because they have some awesome launch vehicles too. But I love that it is an international community. That makes me really excited. It brings us all together and makes us remember that we're all watching these feats of engineering. So super, super, super into that. Yeah, exactly. All right, so thank you, Zach. Tyler, I wonder what SpaceX plans to build after Starship. They planned Starship shortly after Falcon Heavy, even while upgrading Falcon 9. Fusion rocket, maybe? What's Elon's stance on these propulsion methods? So I think the idea with Starship is it can be kind of a platform. Like you can scale it up. Once you have the engineering methods and the full reusability thing solved, you can eventually swap out Raptor with some nuclear thermal rocket engines if those are basically, those have to be granted by the United States government at this point, or some other governing agency, because private companies probably aren't going to get their hands on plutonium relatively too soon to just like launch and use like that. But that might happen. There could be something like that. I don't think anyone's going to be against something like that from happening. Like I think Elon would be very into that, and I think it makes a lot of sense. So yeah, good question, Tyler. But I think Starship, the plan is just to scale it up. Go from 9 meters to 18 meters next once they get Starship figured out and are rapidly and consistently reusing it. Scale it up to 18 meters wide and make it a little bit taller. Make it 180 meters tall instead of 120 or something, but 18 meters wide. Just stick a ton more Raptors under there, and as long as Raptor's performing well and being reliable and all that stuff, like why not scale it up? And that's the beauty of kind of having that, like the method that SpaceX does is just like, I don't know, let's just keep pushing and yeah, keep working on it. So yeah, thanks, Tyler. Crazy Uncle Bob, why scrubbed? Because of weather. Weather is still a variable that is currently out of humanity's control. Albert, thoughts about SpaceX collecting data until T-1? They just, if they're already running fuel through the rocket as they were, because they obviously were going until T-10 minutes, why not? Like, it's always this, again, sunk cost. They already have a sunk cost in there, right? They already have the launch cost of everyone on console, the fuel in the vehicle, the range clear, all of that. You might as well bring it all the way down to T-1 and collect data. Or who knows, maybe they're doing some abort scenario where they're like, okay, let's try and drain it right there, or something like that. Honestly, I have no idea, but I like that. I like that they take advantage. Yeah, that would be awesome. So thank you, Albert. Zeke, the new studio is looking very awesome. Thank you. Wait until you see it when it's all done. I promise it'll look much better here very soon. I like that we can change the sign color and everything too. That's going to be fun. It'll be looking real good here. Give it like 2 more weeks, and I think hopefully by the time I'm shooting my next video, I'll have it way more finished out and a lot better looking. So thank you, Zeke. Timothy Matthews, new Patreon supporter. Did the last Starlink second stage re-enter or do something different, considering it went into medium Earth orbit? I don't know. Do you guys remember? Honestly, I don't remember it going into MEO, but if it did, and they might have just kicked it up into a medium Earth orbit, transfer orbit, basically, where they kick it up to its apoapsis at the highest point, and then go down. But I don't know. I'm sure they still re-entered it. Honestly, we could find that out. But good question. Travis, I'd love to see a stream with yourself and Scott Manley talking about all the things space and rockets. Hope to meet you in Australia one day. I'm off to bed now. Good night, Travis. Thanks for tuning in. Scott Manley and I have done like one little stream together in support of Yuri's night earlier this year. But that's it, really. And we keep trying to like do something together, and we've tried to meet in person multiple times, and it just has not ever timed out for us. Someday, Scott Manley and I will hang out, and it'd be awesome. Just like 2 guys hanging out talking rockets would be super fun. I mean, I don't think you can go wrong there. So thank you, Travis. Jeff, I highly recommend building high power model rockets. Very fun. Yes, I would say if you're going to talk about building rockets or rocket engines, definitely start at the model scale level and work your way up, because you'll quickly realize how the thresholds just keep going higher and higher, and how much more and more difficult just to go incrementally more high powered and more advanced. It just gets pretty nuts. Let's see here. From Kai. Hey, Tim, how do they hook different sats in the payload? Well, that's a good question. With the actual Discord, can anybody find me? There's that picture from the last launch. I don't remember who had it, but where it showed the payload adapter on top of the Starlink stack. If you can find me that picture, that tweet, I'll throw it up here. But I don't remember who did it, and I don't want to be sitting here just like searching. So if anyone can find that, that'd be awesome. But realistically, they normally have kind of a standard payload adapter, and they have the spring-loaded mechanism, and they provide the customer with the specs on how they need to attach their satellite to that payload adapter. But now with rideshare and stuff like that, we obviously have like standards like CubeSat standards, different dispensers and different sizes and things like that. But now with Starlink, they kind of have made a separate payload adapter that goes on top of the stack. And it's still probably fairly, I'm sure they have like a common industry standard. Here's what the thing needs to be. And I actually don't know exactly how that works out with different ones like that. Okay, there we go. Chad and Joe, thank you guys. You guys are awesome. Let me show you guys this. Okay, so check this out. This is an awesome picture here. So you can see here the stack of Starlink satellites, just like we were talking about earlier, and then you can see on top of it is I think this was 3 satellites that was the other day. What was that, about 2 weeks ago or so? Oh, that was a month ago already. Time flies. But yeah, you can see instead of basically the last So there would be normally there's 30 pairs of Starlink satellites. So this time there were 29 pairs, and where the last stack would normally go, they just had a plate basically, and on that plate they had the connection, the actual coupler, the payload deploying mechanism, and that's how they're doing that now. But this is something that we had never seen before, and it's really cool to see that they still were able to deploy customers' satellites and their own Starlink satellites in one mission. Pretty impressive stuff, honestly. So, yeah, good question. Okay, thank you very much, Ikmagzug. Thank you very much, Mihan. Tim, I have an idea for a T-shirt that might look good for your channel. Let me know. Maybe it might have made sense to tell me in the comment. Let me know. I mean, that's great. Yeah, you can find me online. Thank you, Mihan. I look forward to your thing. And Sir Plastered. Jeez. Everyone, please thank Sir Plastered the Horizontal right now. Thank you. I did not expect that. Yeah, thank you so much, Sir Plastered. Everyone, please just thank you, Sir Plastered. Let me read your comment. Hey, Tim, I'm hoping SpaceX builds a station orbiting the moon after Starship. The sky is big, and it should be beautiful, too. Yeah, I really do hope that SpaceX builds a station orbiting the moon. I think they absolutely could. So I think that's well within the realm of the future. When you have a vehicle like Starship that's capable of 150 tons while being fully reusable, I mean, the sky is literally the limit at that point, and it can bring the cost down. If it turns out that Starship is 100 times cheaper, dollar per kilogram, than the Falcon 9's best case scenario, that opens up everything. That changes the entire game because it's so cost prohibitive to put stuff into space. And if it ends up being 100 times cheaper, it's still going to be expensive, don't get me wrong, but well within the possibilities of current industry and of current economics. And I think I definitely think that's going to be one of those things that in the future, just like the railroad, when we connected the railroad here in the United States, it opened up the economies to the West. And it kind of changed the game of our country on how we transferred goods across the country. Just like how, airplanes changed so many things that we didn't think of, like when the Wright brothers were first, barely getting their Kitty Hawk flyer off the ground for like 10 seconds or whatever it was. I don't think they were thinking at the time, now imagine how easy it would be to have a business meeting over in Europe, like how you could just go over there for a day and come back, like no big deal. Or they probably weren't thinking about the economics of how you could build something in China and have it be shipped and air freighted somewhere and be there in 2 days. I just don't think people understand until it really starts to happen, until it starts to play out, until people start taking advantage of these new opportunities, that spaceflight changes everything. And Starship, again, if it ends up being 10 times cheaper already, like that is right there is already game changing. But I think it has a lot more potential for that. And I think it can scale up to be even more potential. So, let's see. And on top of that, Skunky Blackbird has a really good question. Once Starlink and Raptor engines are flying, what does the future of the Merlin and Falcon 9 look like? I think they would serve different purposes. So the Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy will remain online until... Think about how long it took a SpaceX to prove that Falcon 9 was capable for everything for the Air Force and for NRO missions and for top class NASA missions. It took them almost a decade to get fully certified and for that vehicle to be flight proven enough for NASA and everyone to give them the full checks on like, yes, this does now serve all of these purposes. We believe it's, we have the data to prove that it's reliable. It'll take Starship, even if Starship flew orbital January 1st, 2021, it would be a good 5 years before they're signing contracts with some of those defense contractors, NASA. I mean, so whenever it goes online, there's still going to be a huge overlap where the only vehicle that they'll sign to it, some of these, $1 billion satellites for defense industry and things like that, it'll be years and years and years before they're capable of signing contracts for Starship for those missions. So there's going to be some large overlap where SpaceX is able to do some riskier, Starlink missions and stuff like that, and customers that are hoping to just get a good deal that don't have again, $1 billion national security payload on board or something like that, where there's going to be overlap. And even the day Starship flies, I bet you we will still see Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy flying for almost 5 more years, just because of how the things overlap. So, but I think, initially, why wouldn't SpaceX use Starship to launch tons of Starlink satellites, put them all into it has enough Delta V capabilities to put them to slightly different inclinations, and then return home. And I think that would be awesome. So there you go. That's my rant. But again, thank you, Sir Plastered. That is, you're awesome. Thank you very, very much. And also thank you to Sandy Godub for the membership and Carolyn Blake for the memberships. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate that. Crafty Gamer, can't wait for UK to finally launch rockets from your own soil. You've been behind too long. Also, when do Crew 2 return, and will you be streaming it? I will definitely be streaming the return of the Dragon capsule with Bob and Doug on it, and that's likely going to be August at this point. I don't know when exactly in August. I haven't heard an exact date. What I feel like, let's see. Why do I feel like I was hearing August 10th or 11th or something? But I don't know for sure. I'll look into that, and I'll probably need to be doing an update on our Ludicrous Futures in the near future too. So, and that will be awesome. Yes, when the UK has rockets launching from it, that will be super cool. I would love to see a launch from there. I've never actually hung out in England, and I really want to, really bad. I've been at the airport like 3 times now. I've been to Heathrow I think 2 or 3 times already. Never stepped outside, and I want to really bad. It's not like I'm avoiding England. It's just that the travel schedule has never lined up. But I would love to just hang out in the UK for like 2 weeks or something and catch that rocket launch. I think that'd be super cool. So, Milgen again, awesome. Oh, you need to make a sketch of the t-shirt. It's complicated to explain using words. Also, I'm that guy that sent you the autograph of Alexi. That is awesome. Yes. That is super cool because I actually found that when I was moving studios because I still have some extra pictures I want to frame up, and that was one of them. So thank you again for that. That is super cool. Dang. Okay, that's awesome. Thank you again. Kai, hey Tim, if you're the current admin, get replaced in of the current admin. Sorry, not if the current admin gets replaced in January, would NASA's goal change with SLS, or will stay the same? Great to see you, Kai. That's a really good question, and that's one of the downfalls of NASA, unfortunately. Just the way that they're set up. The way that NASA's set up is they are kind of at the mercy of the White House, the House and Senate, and of course the administrator. So when those people change, that's what happens. So many times the rug gets pulled out from underneath them, which frankly, I know this is frustrating to people. Trust me, I understand why people are frustrated with SLS because it's expensive. It's years behind. I get it, guys. But at the same time, every administration since the space shuttle program started has tried to do something different, basically. Ever since like 1985 and mid-90s, especially with the space station Freedom, all these ambitious plans to build new things. They'd kind of hit the table. They'd get a couple $100 million spent in development and ideas, and then the rug would get pulled out from underneath them. And it takes to the point where you have something so far along and commitments and contracts drawn up that it becomes uncancelable. And honestly, that's actually what Jim Bridenstine is doing. And it's great because regardless of what happens next, I know that everyone thinks that SpaceX will be able to use Starship and get humans on the moon using Starship for like $100 in 2021 or something. And I think it will happen someday. But realistically, to actually certify the vehicle, to get it ready for humans, all that stuff, we're looking at 2025 at that would be so ambitious. Because think about how long it took Falcon 9 and Dragon to actually be certified for humans. We were thinking that was going to fly in 2017, 2018, and it took until 2020. And that's with a relatively simple Dragon and Falcon 9, the Falcon 9, which has been flying since 2011. All of the things that you think are going to happen in spaceflight do not happen on time. Everything in spaceflight takes 2 times longer at least. That's just Whatever anyone's saying, double it. That's just simply how things work. And the thing is, I think Starship, again, once Starship is flying and living up to its promises, it will absolutely, it'll do it. I mean, it'll do absolutely everything. But now that NASA has they'll eventually basically have a dozen SLSs, we can actually use those. And those will be in the stable and those will be ready to go. Again, trust me, I want SLS to overlap long enough and have enough SLSs so that by the time Starship's ready, it can replace SLS. But if they only did 2 SLSs, and then we could run into the same type of thing as the space shuttle. When the space shuttle program ended, it was hey, commercial crews right around the corner. We might have a 2-year overlap, but no big deal. We'll get our astronauts back in space in 2 or 3, 4 years. No big deal. It ended up being 9 years between when the space shuttle program ended and commercial crew programs started. I don't want that again. I do not want that to ever happen. If worse, I would much rather be oh, we still have extra SLSs. Even though this new program's ready, at least we still have these. I would rather be that than we only ordered 2 SLSs. We canceled that program thinking that Starship is going to be ready by the time that's done, and now we're waiting 4 more years. I don't want that to happen. So, again, trust me, I'm the biggest SpaceX fan there is. I'm the biggest fan of privatization of space and commercial space, but I'm also a huge fan of spaceflight, and especially of getting humans on the moon. If that's our goal, and if it's really getting humans on the moon, you need to do it in a timeline that is approved by the current administration and the current plans. And that's what Jim Bridenstine is doing. He's pushing to get that to happen, at least all set up to happen during his assured time, because his position might change in 6 months. He might be gone. And if he hasn't set up things in the works and made them in concrete, they won't happen. They won't for sure not happen, but there's a really good chance they won't happen. So this is the right thing to do. You got to be ambitious and you got to take big steps in that direction. Of course, I still love you. And our Discord says, respectfully, everyday astronaut. Now they know what they're doing. Certification could be easier. Of course. I mean, but then again, certifying a Dragon capsule that was already using heritage designs of the cargo Dragon capsule and Dragon 1 and Dragon 1 should have been easy in the first place. The point is, human spaceflight is not easy, right? I mean, look at how hard it was to go from cargo to crew. And again, this is not me saying anything bad about SpaceX. It's just that people assume that they've got to figure it out. They have so much experience. But when you're talking about humans' lives at risk and flying with humans, every single thing in the entire vehicle, up and down, from sitting in the seat all the way to coming back down and landing safely, all of that has to be certified. Every single thing. If anything changes, it has to be recertified. And that just takes a long time. It just doesn't happen. So I love I want everything to happen quickly, but I just know that NASA will not be, mark my words. Mark my words. I could see this happening. I could see NASA, obviously NASA's looking at using Starship for lunar missions, but I think it's going to be a long time before it's certified to put humans on Starship, do the thing and then land using Starship, just because it has no abort system and it has a pretty risky landing maneuver. So I think what will happen for the first times that humans ever get on Starship, it'll be in orbit. They will get onto Starship in orbit and likely, ride a Falcon 9 and a Dragon capsule, load that up, go up. You can put 7 people on a Dragon capsule, and I think in that case, they'll rendezvous with Starship, and then 7 people will have the roomiest spaceship in the entire world because they'll have an entire Starship to themselves. But even Yusaka Maezawa and Dear Moon, I just don't think anyone really thinks it's a good idea, especially with a new vehicle, to let them launch with no abort and with that risky landing maneuver. I think it'd be a lot safer to do 2 Falcon 9 missions with the 12 people, rendezvous with a Starship that's ready to go. Don't forget, to get out to the moon and to do their TLI, they have to refuel Starship 3 times, I believe. So have that all fueled up, ready to go, and then launch the 2 Crew Dragons. And even that is a pretty risky thing, but I think that's a lot safer than ascending and re-entering and landing with Starship. For now. Once it's proven, sure. Of course. Yeah, sorry, lots of things to talk about. An unordinary programmer. Hi, Tim, just tuning in. Just wanted to say hi and thank you to the rest of the people in chat. Best regards from Croatia. Awesome. Thank you very much, unordinary programmer. I appreciate the sentiment. I like just hanging out here. These are, this is like my version of fireside chat and just talking about cool things spaceflight. So thank you. Yeah, thank you for saying hi and hope Croatia is beautiful as always. Edward Monograph, Starship is huge, but have anyone thought about anything bigger? Yeah, of course. I mean, there's been plans for huge rockets forever, but the problem is the economics of building those rockets. And Starship is the first one to really take that seriously, a scalability approach where they can go bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And kind of using the infrastructure already in place and just keep building on that. So Raptor, being that it's, one of the coolest things about Raptor is that it's because it's so small and has such a, because it's so small in diameter and has such a high chamber pressure, they can get a pretty high expansion ratio because they have a really small choked throat and they can stick. So if you think about thrust almost as like a thrust to diameter ratio, Raptor's really high up there. So the thrust to weight ratio of Raptor is worse than the thrust to weight ratio of Merlin. Merlin is the king of thrust to weight ratio. So if you have a limited diameter like the Falcon 9, where it's only, what is it, 3.7 meters wide, 12 feet wide. If you have a limited diameter, your thrust to weight ratio matters a lot. But if you end up having, if you have where you can kind of just grow the diameter like you can Starship, having a really high thrust to diameter ratio matters a lot too. And because of that, the actual width and diameter of, like, the actual footprint of Raptor isn't that much bigger than Merlin. And that's kind of where this whole thing can scale up really easily. They can go from 31 engines on Starship. They can grow it. They could try a 12-meter one, kind of like the original interplanetary transportation system. Stick more Raptors under there. It's kind of modular. It's kind of Kerbal-esque in that standpoint where it's easy to do that compared to other engineering challenges and redesigning rockets. But once you have a vehicle that's proven, a system that's proven aerodynamically, reentry-wise, landing-wise, all those things are proven out, you can literally just make it bigger. And I think that's what's going to happen. So I think 18-meter Starship or something like that we'll see in my lifetime for sure. And I'm 35, so hopefully that happens in the next 10, 15 years. I'm seeing people asking when it's going to start. Notice the title says scrubbed. This is a mission that has been scrubbed and we're just hanging out now. The webcast didn't even go. There's no launch today. We're just hanging out talking. I'm sorry that it's boring, but we're just here having fun and chatting and doing nerdy stuff. I'm probably going to sign off here pretty soon just to save my voice and to get back to work. But yes, Sion Diaz. Then pray that your current president gets reelected because he is a visionary. Okay, this is getting awfully. Sorry, I don't want to talk about politics. I will say this. I don't talk politics and religion on my channel. That's just something that I avoid because I feel like that's divisive. Remember here, Sidonius, what you just said. Think about who you're saying that to. You might be talking to someone that completely disagrees with what you're saying, but I want us to come together. And that's the thing that I think in the world right now, we have a huge problem. We have this huge division problem where everyone wants us to fight. Everyone wants us to say, here's the scarier thing. It's not that people want us to fight and because humanity is weak when we're fighting. Nothing gets done. Nothing gets accomplished when we're sitting here yelling at each other, right? A lot more gets accomplished when we're working together and working towards a common goal. Now, here's the problem. We live in this culture right now. This is getting a little bit philosophical and societal, but mark my words. We live in a culture right now that tends to make it seem like you have to like someone and agree with them and agree with everything they say because they have the same ideology. So if they say something stupid, you now have to subscribe to that. That's almost what's expected. That is the most dangerous sentiment in the world. It should be you agree or disagree with values and with topics. And even if it's someone that you don't like, even if it's a political figure that you do not like or agree with in general, blah, 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 if they do something good, applaud them. Yay, that's good. Thank you. You represented me and my values. And now we're in this weird thing where people are like hopping on trains that 2 years ago they would have never considered, just because the ideology they subscribe to told them that that's what they're doing now. Like, I guess now I don't believe a virus is dangerous anymore because, I don't know, that's what everyone in my was saying. Like, I personally, this maybe is going, I'm sorry if I'm going on a tangent now, but yeah, I feel like that's incredibly dangerous. We need to all look at ourselves and think about how we can come together, how we can agree. In spaceflight, I don't care who's in charge. As long as we're working on getting things into space, and as long as we're working on pushing the boundaries of what humans are even capable of doing, we're doing that together. Like, I don't want to divide the one thing that brings us together. I don't want it to become a thing of, we better hope that this happens. I mean, yes, of course, like, politics are a huge ingrained part of NASA. Politics are a huge part of how spaceflight still operates, but I don't want it to take over the narrative of us coming together, us enjoying spaceflight, us casual observers of the stuff, cheering on the people that are working their butts off to make this stuff happen. That's the whole point of everything I do, is just to make it so you guys and we all can sit here and enjoy the work that others are doing, the hard work, because there are people working 60, 70, 80 hours a week to make the impossible possible, right? And that's encouraging. That is, in the world of 2020, where everything is negative, we're fighting over whether or not to wear masks. Like, how did a virus become political? I don't get it. I don't like that world. I like the world where we're excited because a giant 9-meter wide, 30-meter tall silo is about to lift off the ground, and it might explode, and we're all okay with that because we're all team space, and that's just exciting stuff to watch. If it works great, we're like, yes, that's awesome. I'm going to scream my face off. If it blows up, it's still like, well, we'll just make another one. Watching, again, Electron failed the other night, and it was sad. It really sucked. But we can all, as spaceflight enthusiasts, come together and support the teams at Rocket Lab and feel empathy for them and say, I'm really sorry that happened, but we're here to watch you recover from it. And we're excited to learn what you learned. And we're excited to see you make a better Electron, because that's what's going to happen. That failure is going to make their entire team go through and check that rocket over with a fine-tooth comb. And by the time they're done with their report, with their investigation, Electron is going to be a better rocket than it ever has been. And we can sit there and encourage that and remind people to keep their heads up, because we can all come together and just be there's so much crap in the world right now. 2020, it's just, I'm sorry, it's been terrible. It's been really bad and horrible for almost the entire world. And I think this is the one place. This is my home here. You guys are on my channel. We come together around here. We come together. We hug each other. I don't get how the internet became so vile. I don't get how chat rooms became so vile, like just heinous and evil and mean and sad. This is my home here. If you're here, you're family. We're all hanging out. We're all excited about spaceflight. And we're not going to let things divide us. Yes, again, you can have your favorite player on the team. You can say, I like SpaceX. But SpaceX is just one player on Team Space. And so therefore, even things like SLS, I'm going to encourage. Even if it's some divisive thing of, oh, it's expensive. Yeah, but it's going to take humans to the moon. Like, it already has that scheduled to take humans to the freaking moon for the first time in over 50 years. I'm ready for that. I need that. I need that in my life, and I think you guys need that in your life, and I think that's why you're here. I'm sorry. Long rant. We're done. Laird for it. Hello from Alabama. Do you have any plans to attend the NASA Mars Perseverance launch? If so, I hope to see you there. Unfortunately, Laird, because of the state of the pandemic, I'm not going to be attending that launch in person. I'm going to watch it from here. And besides that, the last month or 6 weeks has been really just too many things going on for me. So I got to just say no, cut my ties on that one, and just do it from here for the safety of myself and for others. So yeah. So thank you, Laird, and good luck on the launch. I can't wait to watch it. I'm working on a video right now about Perseverance and comparing it to Curiosity, and it's going to be pretty awesome. Nathan, thank you so much. Zachary, couldn't have said it better. Thanks for all you do. You're welcome, Zachary and Nathan. Thank you. And Jonathan, nice cover. Keep going. That's pretty much it. People really want me to play KSP. I need to do a Patreon stream. I need to do a Patreon stream. So, let's see here. Yeah, you know what? I will do. Oh, I need to schedule this out. I don't know when to do this, but I need to do a Patreon stream. We'll do Kerbal on Patreon. I don't know if it's today because I want to give people a little more time than that, but maybe I'll schedule it for. Maybe I should still do it today. I'll get opinions from now. Discord, let me know. But yeah, we need to do some Patreon streams. We need to do our pilots and above and everything too. So okay, maybe we should just do both today. Okay, well, I'm going to get out of here so I can take a break and get lunch and maybe get that all set up and everything. So, yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. I'm sorry that today ended up just being a scrub and me just ranting about everything. I appreciate that you guys are still sticking around and hanging out. That is awesome. I really appreciate that. Thanks to our new members. Thanks to all the people that did super chats and donations. Don't forget, though, today, guys, if you want 10% off the full flow stage combustion cycle shirt, you can use coupon code LAUNCHDAY. All one word, lowercase, launch day. Click on here. When you go to checkout, you'll see a place for coupons. But otherwise, yeah, you can get your nerdy swag at everydayastronaut.com/shop or shop.everydayastronaut.com. And real quick, Bazoo513, nice rant, Tim. I completely agree. Please repeat the next launch window for this mission. Absolutely. We will have this stream back up and ready to go. Yeah. All right, guys. That's going to do it for me. Thank you guys, everybody. And thank you, of course, to my wonderful Patreon members. If you guys want to help me do what I do, go to patreon.com/everydayastronaut. And one last thank you to Dennis for the new membership. You snuck in just in time. Join me. We will repeat this, guys. And we're going to have another launch here. I think in 48 hours is when they're resetting. So, yeah. 48 hours reset. We will see you guys there. So, join me for that. But that's going to do it for me. I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, bringing space down to Earth for everyday people. Goodbye, everybody.